She's saying no, but
she's mad, but she still can't even stand.
She's so wobbly.
Sean Whaley is furious.
She's upset. But 100%.
Oh, welcome in everyone to a brand new edition of Axe Kick Picks post pay-per-view UFC 300. Joey, I am so fucking happy to be with you. We could literally talk about this for hours, but I am joined by my legend from the co-host from the state of South Carolina, Joey D. Joey, how are you doing today, kid?
Shama. I'm doing fantastic, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm like hungover from the fights from yesterday. Seriously.
Still got a high from the fights. We got so much to talk about. Post pay-per-view. We don't do this often, but we literally have to talk about every fucking fight. There's so much I have to talk about. There's so many different directions we could go, but we'll talk about every fight. UFC 300. PFL, not bad of a performance Friday night. We had a good night over in the PFL as well. And then we got some major news. Dana White broke out after UFC 300. We'll talk about in just a little. But, Joe, we'll start from the top up. You mentioned it. Poatan, he gets the decision. He gets the knockout win, excuse me. KO, TKO, first round, 3 minutes and 14 seconds in. And to be honest, it was never close. I mean, it was kind of a one-sided performance for as long as it lasted. I mean, he's a star, this guy, Poatan. I mean, give him anything he wants whenever he wants, because this guy is, I mean, who's had a better start of a UFC career?
Nobody. It's historic, meteoric, everything you could use to describe this guy. He's stoic in himself. Yeah, you can give him anything he wants. And yeah, it was one-sided, you know. You could only, I guess, you know, I did something I don't normally do ever. I switched my verdict pick. You know, I took the over in my plays on Friday. You know, thought that we'd see a little more out of Jamal Hill. But when it came down to it, you know, Poatan has triple the experience of Jamal Hill. You know, when it comes down to the combat experience, you know, regardless of what you're fighting in, you know, he has about 100 fights kickboxing wise. You know, Jamal Hill literally, regardless if you could say like street stuff, that doesn't count really, you know, like high level experience and stuff like that. Yeah, he outweighed him heavily, and it wasn't even close. It showed. It absolutely showed. There's levels to this game, and there really is. And literally, it was the first punch that he threw.
Yeah,
you know,
straight left.
Yeah, that left hook, and then hammer fist him to death. The leg kicks were effective. They were landing. You know, wasn't checking them properly. It was a super impressive performance, and he made Jamal swallow his words and pay for bringing out that bloodied Moai head, you know, the Chama head, if you would. And yeah, he ate it. I know Jamal Hill seemed ready. You know, he fooled and convinced a lot of us, and you know, breaking the arrow and the walk-in staring at Alex Pereira coming out. But man, you know, I did, like I said, I saw something in that made me switch from Jamal Hill decision, at least saying that, you know, he could maybe grapple and stuff, to just going with that first round knockout, because I just saw it. I saw it coming. All it takes is one, and it proved it. And I really think that this power that he possesses, I don't, you know, we saw the inconsistency with that power cube, but I think it's true with him, you know. And I think this type of power could carry over to the heavyweight division. So like you said, if the UFC wants to grant his wishes, he could decide to go there to heavyweight and be the first ever triple champ.
Yeah, I mean, he said it right after the fight. He wants the quick turnaround. He said his ideal date would be for next month, 301, in 3 weeks. But he understands that it is unlikely, which I agree. I don't think he'll make that quick of a turnaround. But you know, that brings a great point. Like, what's next for him? He said after the fight to the media, he's not really interested in rematching Yuri, and we'll talk about the real samurai in just a minute, but he's not really interested in rematching him. But he said if the UFC wanted to do it, he would do it. Also a name that's out there, Magomed Ankalaev, as someone he has interest in. So I guess my question to you is, what's next for Alex Pereira? Because, you know, he has a couple options. He could either fight Yuri. I think it should be Magomed if he stays at light heavyweight, or if he goes up, maybe Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, man. the reactions, man. How could you, even if you're not really a fan, like how could you not appreciate that? I feel like I hate to bring Izzy's name into this, right? But the fact of the matter is when Izzy was winning, I feel like Poetan was kind of like being a fan, regardless if it was behind the scenes or not. That's not the same could be said. I think it showed. Like you have to have your emotions in check. But for the Yuri rematch, the Magomed Ankalaev a matchup that could possibly be. I don't necessarily see that. I really feel like he is looking to go to heavyweight, and regardless if there's that little like asterisk on the champ, we know that maybe Tom is the heavyweight champ. I know Jones has the belt, and that's the quote unquote undisputed champ, but I mean, they're going to be one fight and out. Like that's really what it seems like. He's only looking to fight Stipe, and he wants to retire. And Stipe the same. So how do you inject some new blood into that division without the revolving door that has already been there? Yeah, I think you could put Alex Pereira against Tom Aspinall. I know we said Curtis Blades. Tom maybe wants to get that back, but Tom came out as well on his social media and said that he would be willing to fight Alex Pereira, and that's a matchup that they could do well. There's a couple unconfirmed things. If you're thinking that Poetan could come around to 301 that quickly, and he came out unscathed of this fight. Maybe they don't do it because that card is already set in stone for Brazil. I know he would love to be in front of his his country, but Tom does carry a little bit of weight. Maybe they do give the card to Manchester. I know they're trying to confirm it for July, so it's yet to be confirmed. For the interim heavyweight championship, Tom Aspinall versus Alex Pereira. We mentioned it on Friday's show, and I think that's a possibility now that whatever played out at UFC 300.
Yeah, I think they could go a couple different ways. We already saw Tom Aspinall and Alex Pereira kind of flirt with the idea of fighting on Twitter, and Tom Aspinall was asked about it. And he said the UFC kind of shut that down real quick. So I don't really know if they have the appetite just yet for him to go up. I don't doubt that he will go up eventually. I think it will be in a fight or two, but I think that it needs to be said that there's a proper way of going up. You can't just go up on 3 weeks, a whole different weight class. You got to do it the proper way, add muscle, do what John did. Not to say all those years take off and build it the proper way, but at least take a few months to a year to fully put on the weight. And because heavyweight and light heavyweight is a big difference, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely true. But like I said, that power I think translates, and the striking affair, I think the way to beat Alex Pereira is you're gonna have to wrestle him, regardless if you do want to try to showcase your striking skills. I think it's just a recipe for disaster, even for Tom Aspinall, who is a good striker. So even if he's gonna be the bigger guy in there, if he decides to stand and bang with Alex, it's not gonna end well. I really don't see that. So yeah, I know you're saying that John needed to do that because he was a smaller heavyweight. If he came right directly from light heavyweight, the lanky frame and all that, I think he needed to pack on the muscle. But man, Poetan is built like stone, literally. The nickname hands of stone, stone hands, however you translate it to. That's what Poetan does from Portuguese. I don't think he needs to. I think that turnaround could happen this year, and he'll be fine. I think it's just the X factor of the wrestling. But Glover Teixeira has paid dividends in his training. Pelino Cruz as well. So I feel like his main objective is, if he does hit the mat, is to get back up and not accept the position. So, he might not have to worry about scrambles and trying to fight off his back or even having to utilize his wrestling, because his objective is to just get on the feet and do what he does best, knock you dead, which he can do.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting to see where Poetan moves this upcoming year, because he definitely wants to fight again. He's a very active champ, sort of like Izzy.
I think it's not looking good. I'll be real with you. We had the Ankalaev ticket.
I think it's live. I mean,
I know, because we want to see that matchup. I do, for the light heavyweight division. But now, what Poetan says UFC does. I think that's the thing.
I don't know about that. I do think I don't know if they want to do that just yet. And they just created some stability in a division that kind of was up in flux since John Jones left, and now you want
to have a focal point.
I know, but
him.
I don't
No,
know.
no, no, but no, that's what I'm saying. To your point, they have a focal point in Alex Pereira to be the cornerstone of the light heavyweight division. Like you said, it was vacated. There was no champion. And now they finally have a massive star once again in the light heavyweight division. Yeah, like you're right. Let's kind of keep the waters at bay, not have this kind of changing of the tides. So to speak.
And I think there's a lot of fresh faces. Poatan Ken Verse. We said Magomed Ankalaev. That was our pick to become champion at the end of 2024. And I do think he'll get it. I do think he's next. I don't think Yuri will be next. I think he needs one more fight. Whether
Abu
that's
Dhabi?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe he doesn't have good luck here in MSG. I don't know. Maybe out in Vegas in December again. We don't know. As for Jamal Hill, though, is coming back from his Achilles injury short. Looked good. I thought, up until the fight, he was saying all the right things and his actions. I loved everything that came out of him, but I think he did a little more talking and a lot less of actually fighting in there. The leg kicks, like you mentioned, were an issue immediately. He wasn't checking any of them. And then when he tried the blitz, he got the left hook and he got put to sleep, and it was his first punch. So, I mean, not his night depth. Yeah, for Hill, not his night. Moving forward, though, what do you think about fighting Alexander Rakic, who lost as well?
I know you were going to say Rakic, but I actually think that Yuri, he's not going to get that title shot. I think he needs a fight. And Jamal, being previously the undisputed champ, losing to one of the, greats of combat sports. It's not that his stock completely fell off. He just, got shown a level. I think we want to see if Yuri can get past the Jamal Hill and get back to the title shot, because a win over Jamal Hill would get Yuri that. And then, Jamal Hill getting a win over Yuri Prohaska, I think would maybe keep him in the mix, maybe one more fight or two more fights removed from getting back to the title shot, which, if you give him the benefit of the doubt, he can earn that. But like I said, you have to win these fights. So I know you say Rakic, but I think Rakic took a massive step back in that. He had the fight kind of in the bag. Yuri came from behind. I could just show the grit and determination from that man. But for Jamal Hill, I think he's still in the mix of being number one. Maybe he drops to number two. We'll talk about that with Yuri, but I think you could do something like that, have a 1 and 2 to keep things going at that light heavyweight division.
Yeah, I definitely think Yuri jumps to the number one contender in the light heavyweight division. Jamal Hill doesn't take a massive hit, I think. Like you said, I just think he was shown levels. I think he kind of rushed back a little early, if I'm being honest. Don't think he approached the fight all that well, doing a lot of talking, and maybe it was trying to get into head games and mind games, but
doesn't work.
It just doesn't work for Poatan unless you're Izzy and you have that rooted rivalry embedded in 10 years in the making. But even towards the end of that really didn't get to Poatan either. So I think his next fight is going to be Magomed Ankalaev, and then we'll see. I mean, if Jamal Hill could get a win over a Yuri, a Jan, I don't know, maybe a Khalil Roundtree on the rise. Outside of that, I think Jamal Hill is right there. So should be very interesting. But yeah, he took just last night was not his night, but he will be back. So it was good. It was good to see that he was in good spirits. But the champ remains over here in the Northeast in Danbury, Connecticut. Let's go to the co-main event. What a match between two Chinese fighters and Zhang Wei Li and Yan Shannan. I mean, very close on the feet. It was extremely fun. Despite the fact that, Wei Li won inside the distance twice, I thought the fight was pretty good. After the first round, she looked kind of limp. I thought the fight was over. And then towards the end, I thought it was over again. But, credit Yan Shannan, man. What a fucking warrior. She showed grit and determination. And I thought on the feet, she posed a lot of threats for Zhang Wei Li.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's got a long way to go in terms of the grappling. Like I said, I think on Friday, I kind of examined it well with her losing the fight completely against and being like shut out against Carlos Esparza, who I think athletically isn't as inclined as Wei Li Zhang. I think she's leaps and bounds more athletic than most fighters and stronger than those in that division. But yeah, Yan Shannan striking wise, she dropped her like 3 or 4 times, a handful of times. If she was able to stay out of those exchanges, grappling, and I think she could have got Zhang out of there. I really do. But it was just the IQ of it, the championship determination, the grit that you have as a champion, being in those spots, fighting those 5 rounds a bunch of times as compared to, I think this was Jan's first. So that came into the factor. And yeah, the championship medal, it proved itself for Weili Zhang. She's one of the best champions we've ever had, let alone in that division, but in the entirety of the women's division. So she showed her grit, determination there. But I'm sure Yan Xiaonan will be back, because if she gets a win under her belt as well, I think you can argue maybe you run that back because how closely contested it was. And I know Weili Zhang won maybe 4 rounds to 1 in the scoring of how it all shaped out. But on paper, it doesn't look as close as it actually was to the eye test.
Yeah, 100%. I was just going to say it was kind of dominant. Even though I did say she was live and it was worth a flyer, Zhang Weili won dominantly. She won 4 rounds to 1. I gave Yan Xiaonan 1 round. I think it was the 3rd round. But outside of that, you're right. The fight could still be close, but not close on paper. So it is important that you made that distinction. So I appreciate that. But yeah, Yan Xiaonan, just the experience of her being in championship rounds and this one being the Jan's first. I will say she kind of let it fly, though. She didn't look nervous. She didn't look timid. She let her punches go, and she even tried to grapple with Zhang Weili, which I thought was the problem. You don't want to wrestle with her because there was nothing she was able to do from her back, and I thought that was the biggest problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, looking at that strawweight division, she seems to be the only one that I'm looking about that could give her like problems on the feet. And that's where it seems that Zhang Weili can get caught. The Rose head kick rings a bell, but it looks like we have a lot of grapplers in that 115-pound division. And man, she might be able to keep that belt. I know we have a ticket out there for Tatiana Suarez, right? You and I both, we matched that. That might not be happening this year, my boy. I hate to say it. So we got 2 tickets out that aren't looking as sharp as we once thought. But that's what you do when you take futures. You're willing to take a chance, take a risk, and we'll see what's to come for all of them at 115.
Yeah, for 115 weight division moving forward, I think it was close, but I think her stock does not drop. If anything, I think it rises for Yan Xiaonan.
She secured her number 1 contender spot.
Yes, she's not going to move. Moving forward, though, I do think she needs another fight or 2 if they want to run that back eventually. Maybe oppose her with a healthy Tatiana Suarez. She is coming back from an injury. If she could get past Tatiana Suarez, who we all expect to be a world champion one day, then I think you have to run that
Who's
back.
Who's going to get the shot against Zhang? Because that's the thing, Tatiana Suarez was
we'll get to her in a second, but what about the girl who won earlier in the night, Jessica Andrade, future Hall of Famer?
But what you're saying, so with Andrade and Zhang,
yes,
have they fought before? I think Weili Zhang beat her already.
Yeah, she did. But I mean, you're gonna start running into that problem with Yan Xiaonan, just like with the Izzy and Kamaru Usman
division. Virna Jandiroba, she hasn't gotten a shot yet. She beat who we thought could possibly get a fight away from the title with Lupi Godinez.
So my only question to that is a win over Lupi Godinez worth a title shot? Like
they're both one. They were both 1 fight away. They both, if Lupi had won, she would have needed 1 more fight. And I think the same applies for Virna Jandiroba.
And the reason I think Yan got a title shot off because she knocked out a Hall of Famer, Jessica Andrade. That is why she got a title shot, and that is what the UFC wants. They don't want to see decision wins. So
that fight was a number 1. That was like a title eliminator fight between Marina Rodriguez and Jessica Andrade.
Yeah, because if Marina Rodriguez went out there and beat Jessica Andrade, her future Hall of Famer, she's getting a title shot.
So Andrade is what you're saying. He deserves that rematch.
I agree. I think they need to throw that back.
I think that's fair. That's a good deduction.
And let's not bury the lead. Fight of the night, a fight that will go down in history, the best fight that I've ever seen, a fight that will go down in Hall of Fame in the UFC one day for the BML. And new, get on the train because we're going to Hawaii, baby. Max Holloway knocks out Justin Gaethje with 1 second to go. I mean, besides we'll talk about the last 10 seconds in just a minute, but what a masterclass Max Holloway put on for 5 rounds, essentially. I mean, I thought he won every round. Maybe he didn't win the 4th round, but other than that, I thought Max, and he was just eating those leg kicks, and his left leg just looked like had a huge, like a welt in it, and he's just moving forward. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy made of? My jaw was on the ground. I was literally in awe of the masterclass that Max Holloway put on. The punches to the body, just always coming down, punches to the head, in and out. He was so quick. Oh my God, it was a masterclass. And
I'm
then
the best boxer.
Exactly. And then the last 10 seconds of the fight, you stand in the middle of the octagon like a true warrior you are and said, let's just bang it out. Oh my God. How do you not respect both of them? Not just Max Holloway, but Justin Gaethje as well. He's going to go down as one of the best lightweights of all time. So I mean, what a performance by the two. I'm so glad they both got 300,000. Max Holloway got performance of the night and fight of the night. So 600,000 going to Hawaii. He said, ask the boss what she wants to do with it. He's a smart man. But yeah, I mean, thoughts on the masterclass performance by the Blessed Express?
That's what it was. I think the only round that Justin won was the fourth round. He showed a little signs of life there, getting late, a little bit of the power coming through. And I look back at the stats. I don't think they scored that a knockdown in the second for Justin. So Max Holloway has yet to have ever, let alone be knocked out or finished in this feat. He has never even been knocked down yet. So, I mean, that is just a sight to behold. Imagine, I said this to you prior, imagine, you know, it seems that he may be just entering his prime, Max Holloway.
32.
Imagine being 1,000 strikes ahead, significant strikes ahead of the next closest guy and looking forward to possibly having another decade of your career left. This dude's going to have an unbreakable record with terms of significant strikes, like the Joe DiMaggio hit streak, you know, like stuff that are of legends. So the dude's a future Hall of Famer already, and he could go and have a second half of his career like a Tom Brady. I'm bringing in other sports involved into this matchup, but just like Poatan in the main event, Max can do whatever he wants. You give that man whatever he asks for, and I you know, something's telling me that, you know, he has unfinished business at 145. He said it in the press conference. That's what he wants. He thinks he has the style to beat Ilia Topuria, and Topuria is no joke. You know, I don't think that he's going to lose that BMF. It's not like if he goes for the title for Ilia, is he going to have to defend his BMF? No, I don't think that's the case. So he's just going to come in as the BMF going for the title. And that's the first time ever. That's the first time we're ever going to see that. And that's just going to be a sight to behold. You know, I don't know where you could do it in Spain, maybe sell out Santiago Bernabeu, you know, Real Madrid's stadium, as many people as you could possibly fit there. You know, I'm looking at the pound for pound rankings. He's number 14, Max is. And I mean, I feel like he should be higher. I really do. I know there's a couple good guys ahead of him. Aljo's actually right behind him at 15. We'll get to that in a bit. But man, Max Holloway, I feel like deserves. Maybe we can have a BMF, you know, rank. I don't know how we could do that, but you know, I think maybe the pound for pound ranking could reflect the BMF title itself. So that's why I'm saying that Max Holloway deserves maybe to be a little higher. You know, you got Ilia at 5. We now have a matchup for 155. Granted, this fight was there and Max looked better than ever. But yeah, I'm thinking that, you know, with the new and improved like muscle he's put on, I think he might be a little difficult to cut that 145. But I think he's going to keep the power. I think he's going to keep the speed. I think he's going to look better than ever at 145 now, moving forward.
Yeah, I can't get over it. I can't say enough great things about Holloway, and just that, you know, I was kind of skeptic. I love the fight, but you know, skeptic on the fact that defending this make believe, but I loved it. I mean, anything that incorporates or embodies a bad motherfucker, it's what these two are. And I'm so glad that they fought. I mean, it's very interesting moving forward for Holloway. He has options. The boy has options, as he said. I mean, he could fight at 155. He could fight the winner of Dustin and Islam. We'll talk about that later. Or he could go to Ilia Topuria and fight in Spain. You know, we called out both of them. He even made a little joke about Connor. You know, he has history with him as well. So I don't know. I think they do Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway next in Spain. He said he wants some time off. So maybe towards the end of the year.
They'll need to secure that venue. So it does kind of work out.
You make a good point in the Real Madrid, because it is a dome. That was the problem with most of Dana White and doing stadiums is, God forbid, if it rains. But that has a retractable dome, so it has a roof, which, I think is a plus if you want to go to Spain. But I think that's the thing you do. I think it's a winnable fight for Max as well. And while you were talking, I was looking up the most significant strike count. He is the leader by a large amount, and he will never get caught. 3,378. Wow. Can you name the second fighter?
Frankie Edgar with like 2,000.
Frankie Edgar is 6 with 1,801.
Dude, wow, bro. My goodness.
Number 2 is a female fighter.
Joanna Jędrzejczyk?
No, she is 7th.
Wow. Hey, significant strikes for a female fighter? Man.
She will be passed after UFC 302 because Sean Strickland is 3rd at 1,887. Number 2 is No Kill Hill, Angela Hill.
Wow.
1,896 significant strikes. She's been around the block, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I just can't say enough great things about Max Holloway. He will definitely be enshrined after that fight because, I mean,
this game's crazy, man. It just keeps moving ahead. Had Frankie and Joanna, and there's now 6 and 7 because they were up there at one point. Yeah. So that's this game. It's the greatest sport in the world.
And it just keeps getting better. And, we're loaded up for this was 300, 301. We're locked and loaded 302. They just announced 303. I mean, UFC is cooking right now. So lock in. And before this fight, I thought this was the fight of the night. Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan. Split decision goes Arman Tsarukyan's way. Had my money goggles on. I did think Charles did enough, but I do think same could be said. It was very close. I thought Charles won the first. I thought Arman won the second. And I thought both of them had moments in the third, if I'm being honest. Surprised that Charles stayed on his back as long as he did. He wasn't as effective on his back, and I'm surprised he pulled guard so much.
He falls in love with it a little too much at times.
Yes, and I thought that was his worry because striking, I thought both of them had really good exchanges. Both of them felt each other's power. Charles took advantage of Arman's slip up in the first round, which caused him to lose that round. And the same thing, Charles slipped up in the second round and made Arman have all that control time second round. I thought it was a very even fight. Yes. I know he's calling for the Islam fight. He's not going to get it, as we know. What do you do with a guy like that, kid? Because, Arman Tsarukyan is sitting in a very interesting spot. Do you fight? Because he has to go up to number 1. He just beat Charles Oliveira, right? So he goes up to 1. Islam is fighting Dustin.
Dustin goes to 2.
Does he fight Justin? That's my question. And if I'm Arman, why do I have to fight him? Yeah,
I think he could just wait. And I think he could maybe try to plead his case to wait for the winner. I know you said Max, but if they go and decide, maybe Max does want that as well at 145. The only X factor is, I guess, something we could talk about when we get to MMA news. So I don't want to break it just yet. I want to get to that subject before talking about the future of the 155-pound division. You know where my mind's at. You know what I'm saying? But besides those two, I even think a guy like Matus Gamrot. I think they're both. He weighed in as the backup fighter a couple months ago. He's right there. He won his last fight. I mean, give Arman the Bilal treatment.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate to say it, but that's kind of what he has to do. He's still green in his career. There is history with Islam, but like Charles has constantly defended his turf, defended his ranking, defended his title. I think Arman might have to do the same, regardless. Now that he's at the top of the heap, he may have to to rightfully defend his place, and then that's a title eliminator between Matus Gamrot, who also has an argument and a case to deserve a title shot. And same could be said for Arman Tsarukyan. So, boom, right there in the future with all the makings that are going on for the future of the 155-pound weight class, that's something that you could definitely do.
Yeah, you're right. And, I did mention Justin Gaethje, but I mentioned some time. Him. Yes, you took the words out of my mouth. I wouldn't be shocked if we see him take some time off now. That was a vicious KO. And I'm not sure. I'm looking at the division. I'm not really sure, Joe, what's left for him at this point, unless he gets an opportunity to fight Conor.
That would be the one.
That's it. That's the only fight you're getting, because you're not getting a title shot now.
And now that you mentioned that, I guess I'll break to the point. I know we got breaking news you'll get to, but that's my point, is that as much as Armin may have a case, Matos Gamrot may have a case, I think what the UFC would love to happen is have the dark horse of the 150-pound weight class beat Mike Chandler, have Conor McGregor beat Michael Chandler, and Islam defend his turf. Or even if Dustin does beat Islam, I know you could say Islam should get that rematch, but there's so much history between Dustin and Conor. You could have that matchup that would sell so much, and the same would be said for Islam versus Conor.
Oh, there's so much to do in this lightweight division. Oh my God, we could spend hours just talking about it. But yeah, credit Armin Tsarukyan. He did enough to get the job. You know, and a title shot is in the near future for him. I don't doubt that. I don't know if it's next, but I guarantee maybe towards the end of the year he will fight for the title. And huge win for him. What do you see Charles Oliveira doing? Because I don't think he falls that much, but maybe put him next to a Matus Gamrot.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you could. That's the thing. Matus Gamrot's kind of the ace card, not the ace card, the Joker card, the wild card.
The wild card.
Yeah, for that weight class. So you can have a matchup with a lot of people, but Charles Oliveira, you know, dropping down, which is he's probably going to drop down to 4. Or maybe he gets to stay at 3, put Justin at 4. You know, Matus shouldn't go up. He should stay as the, like, you know, the gatekeeper, even though he's not necessarily, but at 5 to kind of hold the division behind him. Man, I don't know, bro. I really don't. I'm looking at it. You know, Jalen Turner lost his ranking to Renato Moicano. He's going to be up there now. Yeah, I mean, has Charles fought Fiziev? That could happen. You know, he's not going to fight Beneil. You know, maybe, you know, maybe Charles wants to go up to 170. I don't know. He's a big guy, and that the weight cut's tough.
Yeah, and I just think we're going to get a lot of clarity after 303. We're going to see what happens with Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler, and then we're going to see how the dominoes fall. But
so just like Dustin, maybe they both need a little time.
Yeah, maybe they need some time. Finally gets out of the first round. Bo Nickel, we hit it, baby. We hit the nail on the head. Fight to start round 2, and for Bo to win in round 2 plus.
I had a mush against you because I was like, I want your ticket to hit so bad. So that's why I put the first round. So I was like, you know what, let it ride. And I was a little bit of a mush Saturday, but I'm not mad at all. That event was something I won't forget anytime soon. I'll remember it for a lifetime.
And you know, I'm glad I'm glad Bo Nickel kind of acknowledged that it wasn't his best performance, because that's exactly what it was. And he's calling out guys like Anthony Hernandez and Roman Talizzi or Caio Borralho and
Roman Kopylov, even, he said.
And if they give him that, and we get plus odds for either of those names in the top 15, give me him. Because if we see the Bo Nickel we saw yesterday, I mean, he has a long way to go, I would say. Yes, he finished him.
How's this, though? I hate to cut you off, but you know how I said, I was speaking highly about Joe Pyfer. Maybe we do that. Maybe we have Bo Nickel fight Joe Pyfer, both unranked. You know, instead of throwing Bo right into the ranked division, guys, have him fight another star. And, you know, Joe's going to want to get a win back. Bo wants to get into the top 15, and beating a guy like Joe Pyfer would absolutely get him now into the conversation of that. I don't know how much you want to fast track him as compared to a guy like Diego Lopez, who we'll get to, but my boy, he could absolutely get into the top 15 conversation by beating a guy like Joe Pyfer.
Joe Pyfer at plus money, I'll take him all day, because like I was saying, I mean, I did not like what I saw from Bo Nickel. His striking did not look good. He lunged. He kept his chin up a lot. He eventually got the takedown, but you saw a guy that we never really seen fight, or I guess the attitude against Bo Nickel. Everyone kind of looks timid or scared to fight Bo Nickel.
Cody had a little bit of stain.
Yeah, Cody was like saying, fuck it. I'm going to walk up to you and I'm just going to punch you. He tagged him a few times and he sprawled. His just wrestling isn't obviously as good.
You called that, though. You said in the first round, you know, maybe it was more or less kind of like absorbing a little what he would do in the first round. But I think you also mentioned that he might just do that. He might just kind of just disregard what's coming his way and try to get him out of there early, which he, you know, I think he landed like one shot, you know, and Bo did as well. So I was like, oh, damn, maybe my mush would have hit and I would hated that for you. But yeah, he absolutely was just like not caring what was being thrown his way from Bo Nickel.
And I think that's how you have to beat Bo Nickel. You have to strike with him. You cannot let him get close or get you up along the cage because he will take you down eventually. It
We
might
talk
not be
about all
immediate.
the Russian and Dagestanian wrestling, but all American wrestling is where it's at.
Oh, 100%. I mean, what this guy did in the collegiate level is just absolutely
Talk about
astonishing.
combat, pedigree and resume. We
Yeah.
talked about Poetan at a main event. If anything, regardless, competing at D1 NCAA and in Olympic trials as well. Bo
Yeah.
Nickel has some of the deepest like combat pedigree of the whole UFC.
Yeah, so it should be very interesting. I'm just glad he got out of the first round, but he does
Both
wind up
tickets
getting,
hit for you.
yeah, both tickets wind up in. So we're nice there. And Yuri Prohaska, let's get to the featured prelim. And Yuri proved he's the real samurai. I'll tell you
Yes.
that. But performance of the night does go to Yuri, and what a guy! I mean, from the videos, excuse me, that you saw prior to UFC 300 of him taking the moment in outside of the T-Mobile arena, embodying everything of the samurai way. It's inspiring, and everything he's saying is intentional and he means it. And I'm glad he had no ill will towards Rakic of Rakic trying to start that beef, because he got the last laugh. And it didn't look good for him early on. And one thing that still worries me, he cannot check a leg kick.
Yeah, I was gonna say those leg kicks were mounting up a little bit, but
Yeah.
you're right, man. He lives and dies by the sword. He does, Yuri Prohaska, and he's got that antenna connected to the divine. I think that there's Rakic, man. He was looking good in the first. I think he had him hurt a little bit, so it was a come from behind win for Prohaska. But Rakic does not really have power in his hands. The kicks is where it's at. Throwing the high kicks, we saw that with a couple of head kick knockouts, but. I think Yuri was just like, you know what, throw it at me, keep coming after, feeling what he had to offer. And the same can't be said for Yuri. Yuri's got pop behind his punches. So I think the win over Rakic like that just speaks even more highly of what Poetan's doing in the light heavyweight division.
Yeah, it was insane, the fight between Yuri Prohaska and Alexander Rakic. It was close in the beginning. Like you said, I thought he actually won the first round. I thought he was moving quicker, and I thought his punches were a little more sharper than Yuri. But Yuri just, no matter what, he gets hit so much, but he just continues to move forward through the storm.
Better.
Yeah. It's insane. But he gets the knockout 3 minutes and 17 seconds into the first round, and he is there in the second round, excuse me, in that light heavyweight division. And I know Alex, the champ, is not really keen on running that back, because we already saw that a few months ago and he knocked out Yuri. But you think he waits after Magomed, or you think
honestly,
he takes one more fight?
Khalil Roundtree, man, and I think Khalil Roundtree, if he gets a win over a top 3 guy, he could be in the title conversation as well. So I would like to see that. I want to see how much Khalil Roundtree has grown, and if he could get a win over Yuri, I mean, that stamps either guy. I think a win over Khalil for Yuri as well would stamp him to his place for a title after that, and get the rematch if Alex is still there or whoever does get that spot. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that that's what needs to take place.
In the featherweight division, man, Aljo looked fucking amazing at 145. He gets the unanimous decision win. What a bad performance. He just didn't show up. I'm still waiting for Calvin Kattar to show up. He had 4 significant strikes through the whole fight. Aljo did what he needed to do, got a big win in a new weight class. That's huge for him. He looked good. Cardio was on point. The last part of the third round, I think the last minute, was how he should have fought the whole time, and he would have fucking got him out of there. But I digress. Still a very big win for Aljamain Sterling.
He looked great. He looked big. He looked quick too. He made Calvin Kattar look slow. Yeah, I can speak highly about Aljo. Yo, shout out to Godfather Ray Longo. You were saying he was training out there in a Streamco tour as well. So I think, was Nixick in his corner to confirm?
No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. He kept he kept Sarah Longo guys there. But yeah, man, I mean, he's getting his training, he's getting his reps in, he's getting his rounds in, and he's out of home at 145. He's ranked number 15 in pound for pound, as I'd mentioned before. So Aljo's a threat at 145, you got to say, because if he could play his game, I think it's a problem for anybody. I mean, if you can, let's say if he had not going to happen, obviously, you give Max whatever he wants, but let's say he did get a matchup against Max Holloway. That's a clash of styles. Obviously, Max can knock him out, or finish him on the feet. But Aljo could backpack anybody. And if you do that to Max Holloway, it's possible that he can walk out with a victory. So, yeah, I mean, that's how highly I think of Aljo. And he looked good. I think aesthetics, physique, and just overall performance. Yeah, Aljamain looks good at 145.
Oh my God, he looked big. He looked strong. He looked quick. He didn't look fatigued either. I think 145 is a perfect weight class for him. The way he was able to enter, he was throwing these punches and getting the quick doubles was insane to me. I was like, I've never seen this quick of an Aljo, if I'm being honest. And he moves up. He's going to be the eighth featherweight in the world come Tuesday. They said before this, they offered him 3 fighters. One of them was Arnold Allen. You think they pair him up with Arnold Allen, number 6?
That's
a bad matchup for Aljo.
It's a tough one. But here's something for you. I know, if we're going to talk about rankings, right? And our boy, is going to be at 13, Diego Lopez, and he wants that Mosvar. As much as I can see that happening, maybe that's what you do. Maybe you put Aljo against Mosvar Evelev because it's a higher ranking and it matches up a little fair. Maybe Diego Lopez needs one more fight to get the rematch back. But go ahead and Aljo beats a guy like Mosvar Evelev. I think he's also in contention for a title. And I think if you're trying to fast track him, even though he didn't get the interview after and people could look at as disrespect, I don't know. I think the decision, maybe it pushed him back into pacing, and the UFC is all about the production. Dana White came out and told everything about what he does during the event. So he's all about the production value and keeping the pace well. So I think that's why Aljo unfortunately didn't get the interview, but it was a great debut at 145. And I think he could fight maybe in the top 5. I really do.
Real quick on the interview, so funny because after they announced the winner, you could see Dana White's look. I don't know what it is with the relationship with Aljo, or I guess the New York guys and Dana White.
The reluctancy to fight Marab, I think, is still
the whole friendship. But
holding up the division a little bit.
It's
grudges. Yeah. Grudges, and don't. I wouldn't say you should hold a grudge, but I think Dana White's that type of guy.
Yeah, I would agree. And, I agree. I think sitting there at number 8 come Tuesday, say gets a Mosvar Evelev, because I agree. We'll talk about Diego Lopez in a second, but I do think he's 1 fight away from a top 5 fight. My thing is, before they run that back, if that's what they want to do, because there is a story there.
Yes.
I think Aljo's 1 fight away. He fights a top 5 fighter, and especially if Max goes and beats Ilia Topuria, this is going to be a whole new featherweight division. Yes, we got Brian Ortega, then you put Aljo in there, and Aljo's right there. I think there are a lot of options. I'm so excited for this featherweight division because there's so many moving pieces. We're going to get Alex and Max. What do you do with Brian Ortega? The comeback of years.
Like the 15 spot, and Sadiq Youssef drops out of the top 15. Is that what happens?
Yeah, Sadiq Youssef is going to drop out
in the top 15, right?
Yeah, Cater will drop. He's from 8. He'll probably drop to like 10 or 11, I would argue. But yeah, Sadiq Youssef sitting at 13 is going to drop out of the top 15, I would say. But
you leave Caceres at 15. Laurent Murphy at 14. He's got a point to prove. Yeah, there's a couple options on how to move that division around. But like you said, it's a brand new division. What happens next?
And I do think it was a little disrespectful just to say he is an ex-champion. And the fight before that, Kayla Harrison went to, she got it. And I'll say Kayla Harrison's her first fight. And I know she was the big buzz, but she was able to get some FaceTime. Why can't Aljo? And I think the UFC just holds a little grudge against Aljo.
That's a perfect segue.
Yeah, perfect segue. Holly Holmes defeated in the second round, a minute 47 seconds.
No more Holly Holmes.
Kayla Harrison is as advertised. She gets the submission win. She looked good. Holly Holmes should retire, Joe. Kayla looked dominant. Wouldn't shock me if, she skips past Pena and fights Rocky for the title. And, and
it
then
would sell better.
It would sell better, absolutely. And I know we saw the GOAT, not Clarissa Shields, Amanda Nunes, maybe a comeback, and
but she would not. She would not come to fight Kayla Harrison just based off like rank and name.
No,
Amanda Nunes would only come back if Kayla can win the belt and fight for 100%. The belt.
100%. And I think that's what she's going to do. She's going to be number 5 come Tuesday, Kayla Harrison. And I love the Venezuelan vixen. And I'm a big fan of Juliana Pena. I do think she deserves the next fight against Rocky. But let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. What's going to sell? Kayla Harrison versus Rocky or Juliana Pena versus Rocky?
Yeah.
It's Kayla fucking Harrison.
Obviously, Julia Pena does better mic work. Her mic ability is fantastic. Plays the heel maybe well. It's just in terms of what you're going to get in the performance, I think that's what's going to sell for this division here at 135. And what they're looking for the women's bantamweight is they're looking for a new star, and you get that with Kayla Harrison, and then you get the storylines thereafter with Amanda Nunes, or say the UFC signs Larissa Pacheco, or Cyborg want to come back, and maybe you have that matchup because Cyborg's never fought Kayla. So if these women can make 135, you have a lot going on in that division.
Yeah, no, I agree. Big win. Looked great at bantamweight as well. I worry about the consistency, though, of her making the weight. We'll see if she's able to do that. But, yeah, a dominant performance in her first UFC fight. Diego Lopez, you want to talk about as advertised. This fucking kid is legit. First round knockout against a top 15 opponent in Sadiq Super Youssef. I mean, he doesn't. This is a guy that doesn't need to be slow rolled. He's ready for a top 5. Him versus Mozart 2 is fine with me at the Sphere. Let's book this shit quick.
I love it.
306.
Yeah,
kid.
Sphere makes sense, bro. And that's the only thing I argued is that Aljo is now going to be ranked higher than Diego Lopez, is that you can throw him against Mosvar and kind of make a case there. But the history and the fact that Diego Lopez just looks like a stud. Man, he's big for that weight class. I feel like in his future, he could even fight a weight class up and make noise. But he carries so much pop in his hands. And man, I would love to see. He put Mosvar in danger. Mosvar's got, like you mentioned a couple shows previous, he's one of the, fighters with the longest active win streak in the UFC. And man, Diego Lopez can put a stop to that, or he can put a stop to anyone. Maybe, I know it would seem kind of awkward in how to do it, but maybe have him jump and fight like Yair Rodriguez. Or see how he can hold his power against Josh Emmett. I mean, there's so much that you could do with Diego Lopez if you don't want to give him Mosvar, if you want to do other things with him. So, yeah, I think the world of him. And we did speak about Sadiq. I think he's dropping out of the top 15. So, I'm a fan of him. But, he's going to have to get a couple fights under his belt to get back into the rankings. But Diego Lopez is a live future bet for next year.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you haven't heard or recognized the name Diego Lopez, you better, because the kid is legit.
Dream, believe, and make it happen.
Yeah, we saw him live in just 5 days to prepare for Mosvar, and he took him to a decision and put him in danger in Newark. I think he wants that itch back. I think he's ready. Give him a full camp, and the kid is going to win that fight. I mean, there is so much you could do with this kid. You could put him one more fight. You could put him against a Josh Emmett, like you said, or a Giga Jacasey. I don't know what you do with him, but he is ready for a top 5. Mozart, Yair, Brian Ortega, he's ready. Doesn't matter. Put him in the Sphere. He got caught like once, but it wasn't even that big of a hit. He's fine. He suffered no damage in this fight. Let's fast track this kid.
Let's fast track him 100%.
All right, let's go to the next fight.
Brazilian, bro. Making a name, bro. Making a case.
Money Morgano. I mean, Jalen Turner's going to regret that decision until he gets his next win, because he did put him out. He flattened him and just walked away. You cannot do that at this stage in the UFC, especially against a skillful fighter like Money Morgano, because he came back and gets the KO TKO in round 2. He was in mount, and his grappling is just ridiculous. Really I mean, and talk about cutting a promo. He is hilarious. He backs it up. Great win over Jalen Turner. A lot of people counted him out. You and I both did.
Unfortunately, I hate that.
The power does worry me a little on the feet, because he can get pieced up, but on the ground, I mean, is there anyone better in that lightweight division on the ground?
I don't know. I don't know. We have yet to see, but man, he's going to be taking what? He's going to take the 10 spot, right?
Yep.
He's going to be ranked number 10 there. Was he ranked in featherweight at all before? Was he a weight class below? He was for a little bit.
I don't know. I truly don't know.
But I mean, man, do you want him to fight like a Benil Dariush? You know, he looked great, man. I had to see, you know, he recovered quickly from getting knocked down in the first there. Like you said, it was a mistake on Jalen Turner's part. I don't think you punish him by dropping him out. Do you punish Jalen Turner by dropping him out of the top 15 with a loss like that? You got a guy who was unranked in the division now is going to take your spot. But Moicano, man, yeah, he can work the mic like no other, and yeah, I think he can out-grapple a lot of people there, and maybe he can make some improvements on the feet. And and that was his first TKO finish. If you remember, we talked about it. He's never finished someone KO TKO. He got it here, and I think it was the last. You know, when you at least expect it.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know what you do with Money Moicano moving forward. Maybe a Dan Hooker. Maybe a Rafael Fiziev moving forward. I think he's only like a fight or two away. But yeah, this
Benoit Saint-Denis, I know he would technically be below him, but maybe they don't put him below BSD, and so maybe he would need a win over him to move up. I don't know.
Jalen Turner, I think he does, unfortunately. I think he needs one more fight to get back into the top 15 because Bobby Green, yes. Exactly. We'll talk about that in a sec. But Jessica Andrade gets the split decision. Whoever gave the fight to Marina Rodriguez is still questionable. I thought that was the only bad card on the night. That's
whoever gave Junchiro Kamijo. He probably gave it when he gave the split to Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Jessica Andrade gets the split decision win, and she remains in that top 5 in that strawweight division. I thought the power looked phenomenal. I thought there were multiple times where she could have finished it. She kind of ran out of gas a little late in the third, but, you know, she definitely possessed the clear power. I thought the striking and speed was definitely Marina Rodriguez, though. But she just, it felt like whenever the exchanges were going on.
But she got hurt. Andrade hurt her, bro, on the feet. She did. I know, like you said, the speed and maybe the reach, the advantage that Marina possessed was the difference, but Andrade was hurting her more. So the damage aspect, close to finishing her on the feet and then close to finishing her on the ground when it got into her world. So we made a case for Andrade before getting a title shot, and Marina could have got it if she did get a victory. But yeah, it's Andrade's title shot next.
Unfortunately, our boy Jim Miller, he's a warrior, you know, and I can't wait to see what he does at UFC 400. I'm just kidding. Maybe. But
he'll be 50, I think. It's gonna be a decade until we get to that.
But he was a warrior, you know. I thought fucking for the second night of the fight, I was like, hell yeah, this fight of the night so far.
Serious, man.
Warrior, but Bobby Green, what a bounce back. He looked fucking sharp. He looked great.
Fast.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Joe, for someone that's been in the game so long and is kind of older than the younger guys coming up, he still possesses the speed.
Yeah, coming off that bad knockout as well, it's like it didn't even affect him. You know, people were worried about him when he was coming on the mic, but I feel like Bobby Green was talking that shit. You know, he was doing his thing. Comes out blinged up. He threw the shirt into the crowd on the weigh-ins and lost his ring along with it.
He's like, I jumped that back.
Cleared the barricade, jumped up. Yeah, so yeah, Bobby Green ranked in there for a reason in that weight class. You know, Jim Miller, he was trying to get in the top 15 again, but yeah, I don't know how many more fights we're getting from Jim fucking Miller. Bobby Green, he's definitely there to fight any of the up and comers and see if they have what it takes to break that top 15. So, and he's going to be a problem for anybody. So,
Bobby Green, Paddy Pimblett in Manchester. Let's book it. Can we just do it? Let him get what he wants. I think that's a great matchup, and I think Bobby Miller puts it on him. If
it stays standing, but I think Paddy's going to have to take a page out of the book from Jim Miller, who didn't even attempt to take down and do so if they do fight.
I will say, though, even though he chose not to fight that way, he was landing. It was just the power was more towards Bobby Green.
I think the volume. I think he cut him and he volume. I think Jim Miller had the power. I think he actually stunned. Yeah, I think if you look back, he stunned Bobby a couple times.
Yeah, he did.
Power, but it's just the defense in the striking wasn't there for Jim Miller, and the volume was coming, and it wasn't stopping. And the angles he was throwing his punches from with the hands down, you don't see it when it's coming. You got your guard up, and someone's fighting with their hands down. They're throwing it under your guard, and it's landing, and you don't see it. So Jim Miller just was blind to all that, and then he really was blind when the eye closed, so he couldn't see anything after that.
Yeah, and then the first fight of the night, former champion Deiveson Figueiredo submits Cody Garbrandt in the second round.
I take back everything I said. I should have done. When I was saying it and the words were coming out of my mouth, I regretted it that Vicky doesn't have a killer instinct. He does, but I just was trying to say it as at times he takes takes it for granted. You know, he feels like he's letting the fighter kind of get back into the fight when he could finish it. And though he looked a little slower on the feet compared to Cody, because Cody's so quick. Like I said, the footwork came into play. When it got out of the world of the striking range and went into the grappling exchanges, man, it was like it was like a deep water. Like we talked with Habib back in the day, it was getting dragged down to the deep waters in the ocean, and Figueiredo made quick work of Cody Garbrandt. Every exchange move he made, Cody, Figgy was 2 steps ahead, and he made him pay almost with the arm triangle and then with the rear naked choke.
You know, Figgy looks good at this weight, but I will say submitting Cody Garbrandt does not get you a title shot. Don't know what these guys are smoking nowadays, but I think Figgy's at least 1 or 2 fights away. Yeah, he's right there, though.
What fight would you want to see? You know, we got the Umar and Corey fight.
How about this? Former Olympian Henry Cejudo and Davison Figueiredo. Clash of styles. Both could strike a little bit. Both little guys. Let's see them. Let's test them out.
Yeah, Henry's the only thing he doesn't, even though with all the wrestling, he doesn't really have a submission game, to be honest with you. No submissions in his career. But yet, I don't think he's ever been finished via submission. So, yeah, I mean, it could wind up being a standing fair. And that would be an exciting one. I like that. And I don't know where would you put that fight? Would you try to get another fight down in Brazil? Would you do overseas?
At the Sphere.
In the Sphere. I like that. I think that's an exciting matchup. And like you said, I think a win over Henry Cejudo would still put Figgy one more fight away from getting up there. He would need another fight.
He would definitely need another fight. But yeah, overall, it was an amazing card.
It really was.
Performance of the night, Max Holloway with the most impressive knockout that I've ever seen, and Yuri Prohaska fight of the night. That fight will go into the Hall of Fame one day. Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje. I do want to shout out Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva. Their fight got into the Hall of Fame as well. Their first fight. What a fight that was. I mean, if you don't remember, go back and watch. And the bad guy, Chael P. Sonnen.
Another one for the bad guy.
Another one for the bad guy. So shout out him. But overall, I had a really good night. 8-6 on the night. We get there. First fight of the night, Davison Figueiredo. Some big hitters. Diego Lopez was a nice hitter. Aljamain Sterling. Yuri as a underdog. Bo Nickel to win in round 2 and to start. Max Holloway as a dog.
Big dog.
But, 8-6 on the night, kid. How did you do?
Hey, you carried us. I did not do so well. Parlay missed the Cody parlay. Stupid decision. Just was a long shot. Just tried to get some fun. And 4-11. But I got every women's fight exactly correct. Got the submission prop and got the decision prop in the co-main event for the strawweight title. And, the female BMF. She could have finished it, but it was smart taking her on the money line value at -135. So 4-11. But, man, I'm looking back, I should have had the women's weekend parlay this time instead of the week prior.
We know women parlay. I love it, kid.
Yep.
But UFC's taking a break. They have a fight night back at the Apex next week. So we'll take care of that. Real quick before we get to some news, PFL on Friday, like I said, Impa Kasangana gets the first round finish. I mean, he looked just fantastic.
Hey, exciting card from top to bottom for the PFL. It just couldn't hold a candle to what UFC did with 300. It was a shame.
It was very unfortunate. I didn't think the broadcasting was all that well. I do like T Wood though. I'll say that. I thought T Wood is pretty good.
No, there was the production value. What was the issue? We had a lot of hot mics when they weren't on live. And T Wood has made improvements, I think, in his commentary. He's done a great job. And Real OC, the Natural, these guys are legends, and they're doing a fantastic job for the PFL over there. So Impa, man, state his claim the title and trying to repeat there at the middleweight division. So
yeah, I do
light
think heavyweight. I do think he'll get that. No middleweight, but I do think he's a problem in that light heavyweight division. Robert Wilkerson, welcome back. Gets the knockout against Breeze. And friend of the show, Clay Collard, gets a big win over Pitbull. He TKOs him. I mean, he looked sharp.
Really pulled out his Cassius, aspect, bro. That boxing, the volume, and just the toughness, taking shots from Patricky. Yeah, Clay Collard is always a threat in that division. And, 5 points, I think it makes a big case for him going forward in the regular season.
Yeah, if we look at the standings now, in the heavyweight, not the heavyweight, in the light heavyweight, Robert Wilkerson, he had 6 points. Josh Silver, great call over by you. Sadabusi did not look good. He gets 6 points. But
There's a lot of
Kazagina
6 points for that light heavyweight.
Yeah, Antonio Carlos Jr. got 6 points
terrific.
as well.
Leshan, Yagshimuradov.
Yashi Muradov as well. So yeah, those are the 5 guys that are, I guess, all tied for for first place in the light heavyweight division. And then the lightweight 155, Clay. There's a 3-way tie for first place. Brent Promas, Clay Collard, and Michael Dufort. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we're getting in the nitty-gritty.
It's going to be good. I have high hopes for this division in this season for the PFL.
Yeah, 100%. And we have fights this Friday, which we'll preview on Friday's show. But yeah, they're right back in Chicago.
Get the main card out for you. If maybe we get some prelim bets, we'll put them on social media for everyone.
Yeah, 100%. So overall, 3-1 in PFL, 8-6 in the UFC, 11-7 overall on the week. Kid needed that bounce back.
I had more wins in PFL than I had in UFC 300, and I had double the picks going for 300. So hey, it's all good. We'll get them back next time. We'll definitely do.
Like we said, it was a memorable card, and you were just grateful to just be watching the card at that point. Before we talk about some news, a quick word from our sponsor. We are brought to you each and every episode by Viva Tequila Seltzer, the most refreshing hard seltzer on the market, hands down. There's no wonder why Viva was voted #1 hard seltzer in the world by San Francisco World Spirit Competition, with only 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and a light 4.5 ABV. Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebration, as it was created with that active lifestyle in mind. We flavor tequila seltzer because flavor is the spice of life, and we like our drinks with just a kick, just how like we love. So whether it's a Huckleberry playing around the golf with the boys, or an elderberry on this Sunday afternoon enjoying a Scotty Scheffler win, it doesn't matter. Our favorites pair perfectly with that Artisanal Blanco tequila for that subtle and refreshing drink. Our belief here at Axe Kick Picks and at Viva is to live long, live well, and live it up. All right, kids, some news that broke after UFC 300 last night. We will start in UFC 302 taking place over here in the East Coast in Newark, New Jersey at The Rock.
Yep.
What do you want first, the good news or the bad news?
The bad news. Get out of the way.
Okay, let's get it out of the way. Jeremiah Wells is out of his fight against Nico Price due to an injury. Nico Price, they're looking for a replacement fight. They got some time, but Jeremiah Wells out, injury, kid. Sad?
Yeah. I thought that was going to be a barn burner of a fight. Nico Price always brings it, trying to get a win back. Same with Jeremiah Wells. He was kind of on a skid. So now he's dealing with the injury. Luck hasn't really gone Jeremiah Wells' way. When he first debuted in the UFC, getting that knockout finish, I mean, we thought the world of him, and it's kind of derailed, unfortunately. So hopefully Nico Price wants to stay on that card and they get him a replacement. Otherwise, we won't see him in Newark.
Otherwise, we won't see him. But who we will see is the main event and the co-main event. Co-main event, 5-round. Sean Strickland will take on Paulo Costa, 5-round co-main event. And in the main event for the lightweight championship, Islam Makhachev will take on the Diamond, Dustin Poirier. UFC 302, 5-round main event for the lightweight championship. You were right, Joe. You called this months ago. I got to get them recorded, but you said this back in February. I want to say, look, Dustin, even before Dustin knocked out BSD, we said, listen, like the future for Dustin, he goes out there and derails their hype boy. He's going to get a title shot. Joe, I credit to you, kid. They were listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. Matchmakers extraordinaire, story writers. We got it all over here at AKP, baby.
Even the co-main event, kid, I thought was really good. I love that fight. I know we were talking about maybe a Kamaru Usman, Sean Strickland, but Sean Strickland goes out there against
Sean Strickland, trenches, not the benches. Shout out E.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna get VIP parking again.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's gonna be a tradition like no other down there in Newark. But Paulo Costa looked good in his fight back. I think this is not going to be a layup for Sean Strickland at all. I think Paulo Costa could stand up and bang with him.
Yeah. He always carries the power. I think we were just sleeping on Robert Whittaker a little bit. Robert Whittaker is the truth. Always been Bobby Knuckles ever since I've become a fan of him. So, Yeah, I think it's a great fight. Sean Strickland came out and said that, he doesn't want to be rich in this game. He just wants to be able to take care of his family. And they said that they were going to oblige by getting him on this card. And I think that's what you're going to get. And the Jersey folk are going to be rallying behind Sean Strickland. They're absolutely going to be doing that. I think Paulo Costa gets some good fare. So a co-main event for 5 rounds, it's actually favoring Sean Strickland 100%.
Thoughts on the main event?
I like it. I really do. This is the time in Dustin's career that he needs to get his title shot. I would hate to see him maybe like right off in the sunset if he loses, but we asked about what's left for Justin after this. What could be left for Dustin after this? The Conor fight? Who knows if Conor even wins against Michael Chandler? Yeah. But we'll see.
We will see, and I think that's the perfect segue to UFC 303. The MAC is back. Conor McGregor will take on Michael Chandler. It is confirmed. It is set for 303 International Fight Week in Las Vegas, June 29th. 5 rounds, main event at 170. We talk about this lightweight division, but they're actually fighting at welterweight division. Do you think that's worrisome for the lightweight division?
No, I don't know what to make of it, really. I'm
actually glad it's at 170, if I'm being honest.
Michael Chandler is ranked. Conor's not. I see Conor as a dark horse of the 155-pound division if he does get a win over Mike Chandler, because it wouldn't make sense to be like, ranked 5th in lightweight and then get a title shot at 170. You know what I mean? And there's so much to do at 170. And these guys are huge. Like Conor McGregor fighting, let's say, a Shavkat Rakhmonov, which they would never do. But let's say that Shavkat looks to be about like 200 plus pounds at 6 foot, whatever, compared to Conor, who's like 5'9", maybe 5'10" on a good day, maybe 170 natural weight. I think that's what he's going to be coming in at, because, there's no way that he's really that big in terms of that. So 155 weight class is like more suited for him. Like he was massive for 145, but 155 is his speed. So regardless of the fight being at 170, could be just like a natural weight fight for the two.
I love it, Joe. I think the looks can be deceiving, though. We don't know what's on that yacht.
They did
kid
before
looks big.
Yeah, he definitely does. I think it's going to hold well for the injury, coming off of the injury, So we'll see. I think we've all been waiting for it. And like you said, the UFC is rolling it right out after UFC 300. That train don't stop.
No, the train does not stop. I am so pumped. It's going to be one of the biggest cards. Probably won't live up to it, and that's why we never judge a card before
But it might outsell it.
Oh, yeah, it might outsell it, but I don't know if it's going to live up to the hype. Even we all thought, $299 is going to be better, and it was nowhere near 300. 300.
But they were both good cards.
Both good cards, but I think UFC 300 blew it out of the water.
Yeah, it went beyond expectations. It did.
But yeah, I'm super happy. Newark, we're getting a really good main event. We're getting the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world. International Fight Week is right there. Conor McGregor is back in just a few months, and the UFC is back and rolling. Taking a week off after they went 11, 12 weeks straight. They're taking a week off. Don't worry. We got some fights at the PFL this coming week. We got a big boxing fight as well, Karate Combat over there in Abu Dhabi. So we got some fights to break down next week as well. But Joe, 10 seconds left. Friday, Fight Night 59. What do you got?
Yep, taking place 8:30 in the morning. So, we got to get the main event in there for you. Both headliners, Yamin and Joaquim, are coming off highlight reel knockouts. So, I'm going to go with the Algerian in this spot, Pantera Oregui. I think he gets it done. He looked explosive, a little more so, even though they match up with size and age.
Let's fucking go, Joe. I appreciate you. Good luck on that. And that's going to do it for this Monday edition of Axe Kick Picks. On behalf of Viva Tequila, Joey, myself, make sure you guys go follow along our social media, X and Instagram at Axe Kick Picks. You guys can find all of our episodes wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. Joe, any last words before we get up out of here, kid?
Yeah, just check out at 10 seconds left _ my social media handle. You're a Rock 2Ks24. Am I right about that?
Yes, sir.
Right. So if you need to just tune in for those picks, definitely do so. And we'll have it posted probably midweek as we get to the episode on Friday.
Let's fucking go, Joe. I appreciate you. That's going to do it, like I said, for this Monday edition. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, rate, give us a review. All that good stuff really helps the show grow tremendously. So be a friend, tell a friend. Good luck with your wagers on Friday. Be safe, be well, and we will see you guys on Friday. Peace.